Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing, and today we're going to attack a partial paper pad. I'm sure you all have them in your room. It happens in my room. This one got away from me, so stick around and see what I do with it. First of all, I just open it up and dive right in. Don't be afraid. I know they're in there, and you don't know, did you have ephemera? Did you have stickers? What's left? Many times you've used up all your favorite papers. Here I have an image that I stamped out in a similar color. You got this. Now this is real time and I am beginning to sort the items. I am going to speed this up, but I just wanted you to see how I do it, and I'll talk you through it a little bit. Okay, let's transition the speed. Okay, I've sped it up to 4 times faster than real time. And what I'm doing for the most part is I'm sorting by size and looking at, do I want to use them? I also sometimes look at paper as I go and begin to form an I don't like these pile. And so you'll see that starts to evolve. I'm sorting out things I know I want to use over on the far right. The left, they either need to be chopped up more or I'm just not sure about them. Sorting by size. This is a blank, a single-sided pad, but for reasons I can't understand, I also had white mixed in. Now, you'll notice I have a little jar. I use a small jar because it doesn't tip over. I think that was for minced garlic or something. I get them out of my kitchen as things get empty. You can also use a Dollar Tree container or whatever, but I found that they fell over small plastic bins and they didn't hold things upright. Spice jars are great, but the garlic jar has a bigger mouth. Whatever works for you. Baby food jar. The jar, I put all of my small scraps that are narrow strips in, holds them up, and if they're tiny, like the 1x2s, I dump them in there. So you'll see, now I'm getting out some navy cardstock because I have my pieces sorted. I have like 2-inch strips together. I had a few whole pieces and I just laid them all out. Then what I'm doing is I'm taking the larger pieces, like that one was ready to go. It was like I had started it and changed my mind, and I am figuring out my normal card layers. Okay, I love that paper. I want to use it, slap it on some navy and move on. If I sit around and look at a partial too long, I'll get stressed out and just put it back in the bag and put it away for another year or two. I looked on Instagram and I started this in 2018. I started this paper pack and it is June of 2020. So here I'm just taking the large pieces and cutting them to my normal 4 by 5 1/4, and then considering if I'm going to have a second layer. But right now I'm just getting some cards set up because I have lots of cute ephemera and some nice inspirational sentiments. There we go. Just laying them out. These 2 brown ones, I didn't love. I was not feeling it at all. So if this was no paper left behind, I would have to use those because the challenge is to use the entire thing, and I take it pretty literally. But every paper pad I do doesn't have to be no paper left behind. So those brown ones I have set in the donate to the kids that we put stuff together for pile, and then you'll see me set aside more things. Now, what I do is I keep those handy in a pile right next to me until I'm done with a collection, because sometimes I need something that matches, so I'm not totally convinced. If you're a newer crafter and you don't have enough paper, I would tell you, even the brown papers you can find something to do with. You can chop them up, you can make tags, you can die cut flower petals out of them. There are all sorts of things you can do. The reality of it is, I have been collecting for decades and I don't need to use every single piece of paper. I have others that I would much rather use. Sorry, I keep getting my messy hair in there. And here I'm just layering up some of these sentiments that I think are really cute and that I know I want to use, either on cards or in journals. So I'm digging through and finding the things I really want. There are a couple things in here that I'm not interested in. The phone, that's the beginning of my, I don't think I want that pile, but I tidy them up nice for the kids and set them over there. And those are probably things I'm not going to keep. And then over on the right, you can see the 2 sections starting to develop. One for the books. I didn't think I needed that sentiment. That's more of a journal or scrapbook page. I'm not going to use it on a card. And if I saw it and I really liked it, I would set it aside in a different project bin. There were a whole bunch of sentiments that said feels like home. So I'm just looking at them objectively. Think of it like you're cleaning out your closet and Marie Kondo is saying, does it bring you joy or not? Nope, doesn't bring you joy. Goes in the other pile. The other pile up on the left, I'll either, whatever's left, I'll put in the bag to donate to the kids, but I might use those for layering pieces or other things like that. And I just go through, the length of this video real time was 20 minutes to get to the end right now. I went to eat breakfast or do something and came back the next day. So I've lost my place a little bit, right? You go to do things with your family or somebody comes to the door and you lose your place a bit. That's okay. You'll find it. Then I figured out, okay, the pile on the left is for the kids. So I bagged all of that stuff. But notice it's a bag that only has that collection in it. So if I find that I need something, I can still look in there and dig. I don't mix it anywhere and I don't throw it out until I'm completely done. Then there was a tag that said slow down. I saw that and knew I wanted that in my blue journal. Absolutely. So I just stopped and glued it right in. I'm trying not to create more clutter in the craft room, so I'm putting them where they go. We have our card bases, and I'm testing out the sentiments that I like. Then it's time to grab some foam mount and get some of these put together. And I'm still trying to figure out what mails really well and doesn't. This is the Dollar Tree like garage section foam mount. It's pretty thick, so it probably isn't going to mail really well by the time I put die cuts in. Then there were these flags that were already in the paper pad, so I'm just cutting them out. I mean, even I can cut them out properly. And putting it up there in the corner, just like Christy Marcotte would do. Isn't that fun? I don't love the shape of those flags. They're a little bit fat for me, but whatever. Then I'm experimenting with the sky. I'm having trouble finding a sentiment that goes in the middle of the sky and works nicely. The never say never. The reason I put it on that card is it's on a horrible color and it just wasn't really going to work on anything else, but it looks pretty good here. When I'm trying to attack a partial pad, I approach it with the don't overthink it. Just put it together, and if you'll use it, go for it. Because I know my organizational style, and if I let this get away, it's going to go back in there and not come out the other side for 2 years. And I'm really, really trying to look on the bright side of the pandemic and use it to clean my room. And I had ordered a new stack of navy paper, so I knew I had a lot of navy to go with this, so I'm just matting in navy as I go and gluing things down. You'll note in this video, these are not my favorite supplies because all of my stuff was in the other room, in the TV room with my husband. So my ATG, my art glitter glue, everything's in the other room. So I'm using Tuesday morning adhesive and my Dollar Tree adhesive. I'm just using different supplies, not necessarily my favorites. Don't run out and buy it just because you saw it in this video. Some of it's great. I mean, still perfectly good stuff, but not something I'd necessarily recommend. I've slowed this down a little so you can see. I am going to hold up scissors and show you another thing that I do when I'm going through a partial or a brand new paper pad is I identify things that I want to fussy cut and I set those aside because I can do those laying in bed, watching TV at night. My husband loves that, or in the front room. So it doesn't necessarily have to be done in my craft room. As I mentioned, this isn't No Paper Left Behind, so I don't have to use every bit of paper, but I've learned a lot from that challenge. I have videos on No Paper Left Behind. Daniela Hayes has a What is No Paper Left Behind? It's a challenge for yourself. But what I've learned from doing No Paper Left Behind is how to actually, I never thought I would say this, attack a paper pad with some semblance of organization. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping scraps of like sizes together and working my way through and thinking about, okay, I know I have these embellishments that I want to use, so how can I get these used up? I'm not worried about the pile of, they're probably 2-inch strips over there on the left. I make enough cards out of 6x6 paper pads that I keep all sorts of random ideas of how to use those strips in my head, and I'm used to getting down to the point where you have a bunch of those to use. But every paper pad has a variety of patterns and different things, maybe more sentiments or fewer sentiments, so you do adapt to that. There isn't a formula in my brain for when I tear into a 6x6 paper pad. Here you can see I've gone to get my ATG gun because I couldn't take it anymore and I wanted to put these together quickly. And I'm putting the cards onto card bases. I may embellish them further. I may die cut flowers or stars or hearts out of the scraps. You never know. But I'm just trying to get those large pieces accounted for and the sentiments that I like used up. And this paper, many of you are super excited about it because you picked it up at Tuesday morning. But I bought it in 2018 and I made cards that I loved with it. I absolutely loved that tiny little plaid pattern in it, but I don't have much of that left. So for me, it's just, I know it will make lovely cards for people, but I just want to use it up so I can check it off the list. So I'm layering and just using things up. To attack a partial paper pad, you have to get comfortable with mixing patterns. I think the way to do that is to layer with a solid cardstock or to use a layer of mirror paper or something that doesn't have a pattern on it and kind of lets your eye rest. If you are fearful about mixing patterns and you want to make cards like this where you're using a lot of printed papers, be sure you're watching Christy Marcotte. You've probably heard me talk about her before. She's amazing. Christy puts some planning into how she's going to use her paper pad and figures out her sketches and that sort of thing in advance. I honestly don't. Like, this bag has been in the closet for 2 years. I pull it out, I start looking at the scraps, and I let the pieces of paper help me figure out what I'm going to make with it. That's just how I put it together. I hope this is helpful. I'm not going to work my way all the way down to the very end, as you might have seen me do on other videos. I'm happy to share more process videos, just let me know. I will share these finished cards in one of my updates videos that I do on the weekends coming up soon. Honestly, they're not quite done yet. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.